Alex, tell me exactly, what is the problem you had with your Spanish supplier? Explain it.
Have you ever dealt with the Spanish?
Never.
Right. Well, is anyone Spanish here? Dishonesty.
Dangerfield, Dangerfield.
Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Dragon's Den reaction series. I haven't seen this. A mate sent it to me. Let's check it out. Roll VT. I mean, this is going back, what, 15 years? Something like that. Look how young Jonesy is. Which is always our barometer of age when it comes to these things. So, seem to be olives. Olives on a tube. Lolly stick on top of olive tube.
Okay. My name's Alex Hall. I'm the founder of The Big O. We're looking for £150,000 worth of investment for a 15% stake in our company.
Oh, there's so much going on with this woman. I mean, the hair flicking out the eyes, the scratch of the lip. She doesn't accept that she is inferior to the dragons, which as a person she isn't, of course. But in business, without a doubt she is, or she wouldn't be in there on the ponce. And so there is a real sense of her shrugging it off. The situation, them. This will be a blasé and very flippant approach to getting an investment. She is someone who believes she's entitled to succeed. I imagine she's quite a beast in the boardroom, which, you know, it's an outdated way of running business. You know, a happy team is a productive team. A team that's ordered around and told what to do does as little as possible. And already I'm getting this from her. I'm getting this sense that, no, I'm just as good as you, and you're not, or you wouldn't be there. And incidentally, if I got that, they got that. You know, they do this for a living. Not just this, but reading people in a business investment situation. Oh gosh, did she actually huff them? They are, look, I've just taken it back. I yabbed over her. I mean, that you don't have to be a master of body language or the psychoanalytic method to see, you know, that's not nerves. That's communication. That's just language. That's just saying, oh, I really can't be bothered with this. But obviously that's contradictory. Look, check it out.
Our company. About 3.5 years ago.
And then that smile attempts to rebalance things, sorry. Because she'll be aware that they just saw her. You know, she's coming across as unpleasant. She's coming, and as soon as you're unpleasant, you're uninvestable. So she drops in that little micro smile. That's how we balance things up. You'll find yourselves doing it in life. Look out for it. I do it. You do it. We all do this. We all do these things. Our behaviour is made up of more than just what we're conscious of. There's an unconscious self that comes through. And we only get to see the effects of that, not the motivation for it. So when we see it, we have to do something about that. You know, put yourself in any intense human situation, and you'll find yourself doing things and you'll be like, oh, fuck. Like blushing. Blushing is a classic example. You'll know you're blushing because you'll feel the blood moving to the surface of your skin and getting hot. And you'll have to do something to counterbalance that and to try and somehow control it. That's what that little, I'm nice, I'm vulnerable, unconvincing.
I saw a niche in the market for a pre-packed, marinated, delicatessen-style olive to put alongside crisps and peanuts for the pub and bar market. We wanted to build an olive brand as KP is to peanuts, Walker's is to crisps. We wanted to be the Big O is to olives. And had it not been for major.
That is really maybe it's a woman thing, but I don't think it is. If your hair continually needs to be taken out of your face, you've got the wrong hairstyle. It doesn't. It's not actually in her face. It's look, okay, I understand that there's nerves here, but there's more than just nerves with that. This is continual sort of shrugging off the situation, which might be her wanting to shrug off the nerves, but it doesn't come across. Vulnerability can score you points in an investment situation, in a business situation. Vulnerability can score you points in all human situations. You haven't always got to look strong. There is a place where you ask for help, and asking for help. As a business director, I want my staff to ask me for help rather than bodge it on their own because they're not quite sure. Because if they ask me, I can teach them, and then they're better. And so there's an example of that, and she's not doing that. She's not giving that. That's not how she comes across. She comes across as know-it-all.
Teething problems with our Spanish suppliers. We'd be
blaming her Spanish suppliers already. We'd have been flying if it wasn't problems with other people. 90% of business is dealing with other people's mistakes, other people's problems. If my business or anyone's business flowed perfectly, you wouldn't have to do anything. It's pretty much clearing up other people's mess.
well on our way to achieving our business plan. Numbers-wise, our plan wants to deliver 4.5 million turnover within 3 years.
I mean, just this number just out of the blue. I mean, okay, maybe she's already... if she's already turning over $1 million and she's looking at 100% year-on-year growth. Did she say 4 years? I can't remember because her numbers blew my mind because they ain't right. And look at Theo and the other, I can never remember that other fella's name because he lasted so little in the den. But look at their responses. She's only been there for a minute or so and they're not impressed. And it might be a great product. And this is, there's a lesson here. Her way of managing this situation has already put people off investing in a product they actually know little about, and the finances they know little about.
And that's actually incredibly conservative.
Alex is looking for £150,000 and is prepared to give away 15% of her company.
All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say 7. So about $1 million. She values her company at about $1 million. So she should be turning over. To value your company at $1 million, you should already be turning over about $3.5 million. Do you reckon she's doing that? No, because she just said she expects to do that in a few years. Ridiculous. I reckon she's selling next to nothing. Not anywhere near that. I reckon her net profit will be around 50,000 a year. And she'll blame her Spanish suppliers like she already has.
Dragon's Den rules dictate she must get at least what she asks for or she won't get a penny.
So, tell me, how have you funded
Guile.
getting to this stage?
I've got a business brain,
Tell me, what are your down points? Oh, I'm a perfectionist. Did you hear I say guile? I've got a business brain. Oh, what is that? That doesn't exist. You've got a brain that you might, use for business. Is that what you mean? Well, in that case, everyone's got one of those.
I'm always thinking of ideas.
Oh, great. I mean, actually, you don't want that. You want someone to stick with the idea in hand. It's quite interesting. I once dated a bird who was very high up in human resources. And it was very interesting because she used to have to interview people for some top-end, like Mayfair restaurants and all sorts of things like that. And what I found out from her, the things that you'd think would impress an interviewer, nearly all of them tended to be no-nos. Like, you know, if you've done a lot of travelling, you'd think that if you'd gone for an interview and you said, well, you know, I used to work for this company and then I travelled Mexico, I went to Peru, I went to Australia, then I come back, I worked at 2 years with so-and-so, and then I travelled Venezuela down through Brazil. No. What did the girlfriend call it at the time? Itchy feet. You know, she said people who travel a lot will travel a lot again after you've trained them and you know, built them up. Once they've got the money, they'll be off again. And many things like that, kind of interesting. And I'm always thinking of ideas. Well, this being a director of a business probably isn't your best position then.
And I got a prototype pot made for nothing and said, I want olives in here with a 6-month shelf life.
Wow, man, you packed olives. I mean, you've got a business brain.
Who designed the tree?
Me.
You designed the tree, so you own the rights to that tree.
Yeah.
All this design's been registered and trademarked?
Yes, the pole and the dispenser is patented.
So the olive pot has got an hole through the middle and you slide it on a pole. Pole dancing olives. I did once know a pole dancer called Olive though. She always came up with ideas as well. Yeah.
With the packaging finished and the patents in place, the business seems promising.
The Big O ain't a bad brand though. The Big O, you know, is once you've associated that with olives, you'll know it. Is the British bar market going to sell as many olives as it is peanuts and crisps? Probably not for 100 years, but you know.
And new dragon Theo Paphitis is clearly enjoying the taste of the product.
I do like an olive.
Doug Richard, though, wants to know more about the market for the Big O.
Did I understand that your inspiration for the product and the way it's designed and the packaging and the ease of use, you said you wanted to be right next to the other sort of snacks that one gets when they're buying a beer?
The inspiration was for the pub and bar market.
So can you just talk me through what evidence you currently have, what level of success you've had in reaching that pub and bar market?
Right, well, yes, I mean...
So this is a very interesting question. I mean, is that a market? How do you know? When you're trying to break into a new market, it's very hard to find out, unless you've trialed it, which costs a fortune. You know, you've basically got to say to loads of, you know, the marketplace, in this case, bars, here's loads of free olives. Can you fill in these monthly or weekly reports for us? We'll give you them free, and you know, and for that trial to be worthwhile, you're talking about 500 bars at least. So I'll be interested to find out how she got an idea of the size of this market. If she based it on crisp sales, no, you're comparing. Well, I was going to say apples with oranges, but crisps with olives.
I can.
Good.
The phone rings all day, and we don't...
Got any olives? I'm sitting in Weatherspoons and I need an olive.
don't have any product to sell them.
That's a lovely anecdote, but I was actually looking for a little more sort of substance than that.
No.
Dougie. Fair point though, that's nothing. The phone rings all day. All right, then here's the money.
Well, you'll get more substance.
Oh gosh, let's just look at her scrunched up, hateful. I'll try and pause it on her hateful face, because it is there. She doesn't like that. She doesn't like him calling her out.
I was actually looking for a little more sort of substance than that.
No, well, you'll get more substance.
I mean, it looks like someone, you know, she's just shit herself as far as I'm concerned.
Basically, I don't know. What do you want to know? Big names?
No, the question was quite clear and simple. Good Lord, big names? No, just what's the size of the market, wasn't it? Or evidence you've got that you can sell these alongside crisps and peanuts.
I'm just looking to know that your product is actually being used by a customer that they like, and that there's some sort of evidence to support that. Real straightforward question.
Well,
Oh my God, the nervous laugh is... I mean, that's an odd she's a very odd lady, and I'm all right with that. I like eccentric people. I like odd people. I'd probably have quite an interesting conversation with this woman because she is interesting. But this isn't her strong point. This isn't where her interesting personality is going to do well.
Yes, I mean, it is straightforward, although...
It isn't, because if it was, you'd say, we trialled 500 bars across 6 months, here's the numbers. And that answer hasn't come. Just mumbo jumbo.
Our sales don't reflect what the company could do because we've had inconsistent suppliers.
Just tell us how many of these one pub sell.
Look at her, just fucking tell us. Sales don't reflect. No, they really do, actually. You know, in retail, sales really reflect the size of the marketplace.
In a week.
Sorry, I can't answer that question so directly because it's so different. You know, you might get...
Okay, just... So they ain't gone too well then. Or you haven't tested them. You haven't tested them, have you? That's what this comes... You don't know the size of the market because you haven't tested it. Because it's, as you said yourself, it's a niche. You saw a niche. You saw a gap in the market. Well, the phrase gap in the market means that market doesn't exist. You're looking to create that market. And because you haven't tested it, you've got no evidence to show that it exists. Which means at this moment, it's still just a gap. Which is another word for nothing.
Your country village pub that's selling 1 every 3 days. Right?
Wow.
Right? But you might get your busy city pub that will be selling 48 in a day.
Well, okay, so I can't see a busy city pub doing 48 boxes of those olives in a day, but nonetheless.
Varies. I mean, E&O...
Well, average. How many of these is one pub selling? Is it 10 or is it 100?
1. 1 a day.
Now, I can see why she was doing her best to skirt around the issue, because if her average is 1 a day, then, I mean, we still don't know how many venues she put them in, but 1 a day means about half of them are doing nothing. The French place and the Spanish place, where their clientele are French and Spanish, is doing 48 a day, 1 day. That's why she's got that number in her head. This is awful. This is awful. What did she want? 150 foul. Good Lord. What, on one sale, 1 packet a day? Right. Theo. That was very... Duncan looks like he's just eaten one of her olives.
Alex has finally given the dragons an answer, but it's not the one they were looking for. The big O may look good,
but it's a very small O.
But its slow sales have astonished the dragons, and the business looks fragile.
See, she built a company up Red Letter Days, and I think someone might be able to correct me, but I think she run it into administration, and Meaden and Jonesy bought it off her. I think that's right. I'll clarify it in the pinned comment. I'll look into that a bit later. And she disappeared off the show. Ouch. From dragon to dust.
In spite of her resistance, Theo Paphitis is determined to find out how these sales translate into revenue.
Alex, when did you start supplying bars?
November 2003.
Right, and like I say, I don't know when this is. I guessed about 15 years ago, so...
Right.
Oh, that face wasn't...
2003. And what's been the turnover of sales so far?
I can answer that question, but I don't think it's that relevant.
It's amazing. You don't get to tell an investor what questions are relevant. You're asking them for their money and their clout. You know, these are successful, big black book of contacts. You know, you want their money and their experience and their network that they've built up over 20, 30 years. You don't get to tell them what's a relevant question. You tell them the answer. I just these people blow my mind. Nah, that's not relevant. Nah, that information's... I'm keeping that underground. No, I'll tell you what you need to ask me. No. Wow.
Because we've had very inconsistent supply.
It's
Again, blaming someone else, and Theo's about to say it's absolutely relevant.
absolutely relevant.
Why?
Because I want to...
Why? If you don't know why that's relevant. Yeah, no investment made here.
know what you've sold since November 2003 in
What?
revenue.
I'm sorry, but the relevance of that. I mean, if we had had continual supply.
Yeah, but welcome to business. You know, that you haven't had that. So what you would do is find a different supplier, find someone more reliable. You might be able to say, year one, this happened, our suppliers let us down, I found a new supplier, and year-on-year growth since then has been 30%. You can't just say, oh, it's not relevant because we've had bad supply chains. Yeah, you've had bad supply chains. You selected them, you stuck with them, they fucked you, you're blaming them, and you're refusing to tell people what you've turned over. But you still want their 150 grand and their black book. Yeah, that's happening.
You didn't have continuous
Yeah, no,
supply.
we didn't, and we haven't been able to get our hands on
And
enough
how
product.
much turn?
What, there's only one olive supplier in the whole world, yeah? Sure.
No, but have you
I've never heard of the olive monopoly, the olive mafia.
done in that time?
We have 1,200 customers.
What? Just, they didn't ask how many what? 1,200 people have bought your olives. What, one pack or what? You understand why saying 1,200 customers is of no use to him. How many have they bought, over what time have they come back? If you tell him the money you've taken, he'll get a better picture of your business, but she's dodging this one as well. And I think I know why, and I think you can guess too.
On limited supply.
Alex, please answer the question.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer that question because it's not relevant.
What? How much money you've taken's not relevant. Well, I'm sorry, people. For your benefit, I'm not going to repeat again why that's relevant. I mean, if you don't know that now, you're probably working with her.
It's not relevant.
It is to me.
Which is a fair point. You know, the bloke whose money you want, I'm surprised he hasn't said his grandkids' inheritance is his first episode.
If you're not
Right,
going to answer
okay.
my question, then I'm out. I'm out.
Oh.
Alex's defensive
Duncan is hilarious. He's like a spitting image puppet of himself.
behaviour has cost her the interest of Theopophetes, and it's not endearing her to the rest of the dragons either.
Well, she's not telling them anything. How much have you sold? How much money have you made? Nothing. All they know is she sells olives and she's blaming her supply chain. Okay, well, I'll take my money. That's a great face. Look at that. A self-comforting tongue nipple.
Duncan Bannatyne wants some straight answers.
Alex, tell me exactly what is the problem you had with your Spanish supplier? Explain it.
Have you
There
ever
we
dealt
go.
with the Spanish?
Never.
This is going to go down really well. The Spanish. You know, all of them. You ever dealt with the Spanish? See that thing in the background? That's an old clocking in machine. We had one of them in the squat in Bethnal Green. When we got kicked out of there, I took it with me. Sold it in the end to an antique shop to buy skag. Anyway, tell us about the Spanish. I can't wait for this.
Never.
Right. Well, is anyone Spanish here?
Oh my God, making sure you don't offend anyone before you offend everyone. Amazing. This is going to be great.
Dishonesty.
Spanish are liars. Look at her face. The Spanish are They lie. Right. Okay. Maybe you should have changed supplier to a different Spanish person. Well, unless they're all liars.
Might be number one key.
This is incredible. What an angle to take. I really don't know where to go with this.
Key number
In what way?
1. Well, they'd say things or put something in the product that shouldn't be in the product and wouldn't let us know, so it wouldn't be on the label. It was just totally...
Yeah, you're the manager of that company. You put that right immediately by communicating with them, and you don't pay them for that product unless you already paid them up front like a fool, and then you change suppliers. You don't just drag it on for years and then say the Spanish are liars. Wow.
dishonest.
Alex is on a collision course. She needs £150,000,
She ain't getting 150 pence.
but her sweeping statements about the Spanish have pushed Doug Richard over the edge.
Anyone here Spanish? That was excellent.
You really caught me off guard when you maligned an entire nation because one supplier. You really, it makes you sound like you're a wild gun. Telling me that all of the Spanish are dishonest. Have you ever dealt with the Spanish? Yes, I've dealt with honest Spanish and dishonest Spanish. If that's the kind of comment you're willing to make, God only knows what else you'll say. And so I lose some faith in your judgment there. So I won't be investing.
You couldn't trust someone like that. You could not trust someone like that to represent your business. God no, these people deal in multi-million-pound deals. Can you imagine? Did he call her a wild gun? A dirty pea shooter?
Doug Richard is out.
The old scratching again, self-comforting. The spot's on the other side, darling. Strangely masculine in that clip.
And things are about to get worse.
She's now rubbing her beard. Wow, she's really, really uncomfortable. And all her own fault.
Alex, if you look deep down inside yourself, you know this product doesn't sell, and that's your problem. So really, you haven't got a production problem. That's not the problem.
It is.
You can't
we
buy
don't
enough
have any
because
stock.
okay. I just, you know, Alex, you just won't listen to anybody. I just don't think you know why you're giving ears. And
I know why she was giving ears. Give her something to endlessly flick her hair over like she's got fake Tourette's.
I'm out.
Alex has now lost the interest of 3 dragons, but she's still
No, she's lost the interest of 5 about 10 minutes ago.
refusing to acknowledge their concerns. Only Rachel Elnor and Peter Jones are left, and her bid for the £150,000 investment is on the verge of collapse.
Alex, I'm Peter. I'm sitting here and I'm absolutely baffled. I think it's firstly one of the worst pitches I've seen to date.
Sorry.
Sorry. That face, that's the smug face of someone who's really failed and knows it. You can only blame the lie in Spanish. I mean, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition, but you can only blame the lie in Spanish for so long, darling.
You've mentioned that you've got a business brain. I've yet to see any inclination that you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a failure in this.
Right.
So the biggest problem that I've got is I'm now focusing on somebody that actually I don't want to invest in, regardless of how good this is.
As I said at the beginning, you know, you invest in people as well as business, and regardless of the quality of the product or service, if you don't like the person, you won't invest in them.
So you've completely lost me, you've lost my interest, and I'm also out.
She's had some miraculous expressions. You know, that somewhere along the line she built a wall around herself regarding the realities of business, and for reasons probably going back to childhood, she refuses to have some humility. You know, there's this idea that business is all like I said, all that old 1950s kind of sort of like hard boardroom stuff, and you know, shouting at people and you know, on the phone all night. It is hard work, but things have changed. You know, you work efficiently. You work efficiently, and you work. You know, you're working essentially with people. It's largely about communication. And if your communication skills were as bad as this person's, well, you will fail in business, regardless of the quality of your product or service.
Rachel Elnor is Alex's last hope.
You've come across as incredibly hard work, and this is your pitch. Where you're selling yourself and your olive product and your business concept to us. Business is about problems, and actually one of the biggest tests of a successful entrepreneur is whether you can successfully get over those hurdles or whether they defeat you.
Which we're doing, but you haven't. You've created loads more in the last 10 minutes. Which we're doing. You've blamed your failures on Spanish liars. You haven't shown us your successes because there aren't any. So you're not doing that. You're hoping to on the back of someone else's money.
We're doing.
Well,
just saying it. Look at that. Look, she says it again and again. Watch. It's almost like she's in a trance. She's put years of her life into this, probably years of someone else's money. Watch how she's almost hypnotised there. When I'll play it again. When she goes, it's what we're doing, it's what we're doing, it's what we're doing. And I'll pause her face at the end of the final one. Look.
Over those hurdles or whether they defeat you.
Which we're doing.
Well, it's 2.5 years down the line. You've got through all of your cash, and all you can say is, really, it's the supplier's fault that you haven't created a...
Yeah, look, that's someone in a trance. And every time you threaten to, damage or break that trance, that reality will come crumbling down, and she just will not go near that. It's going to catch up with her, though. It always does. When they say 9 out of 10 small to medium enterprises fail, well, you can see why. But you'd be fucking surprised how long people drag it out. The money they beg and borrow and steal to pay for, to keep it going, the work they put in, the burnouts that they cause, the families that fall apart, the friendships that fail, why they just, they haven't got that humility, and they don't know when to say, this isn't working. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's a learning. Okay, this didn't work. That doesn't reflect on you. That doesn't mean you're not a success or you're not an entrepreneur. It means that project didn't work. Get busy, do something else, but don't do it like you did before. But like I said, you'll be surprised how long and how, what's the word? And how much of an endurance it can become rather than just admit you failed. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all do it regularly in life.
Successful business. Now, actually, I quite like the product, and I personally like olives a lot, and I can see there's a gap in the market. Whether you can actually make it work or not is quite another matter.
She can't. She won't.
And that's where I would have the problem in investing. So it's not one for me, so I'm out.
I can't believe she looked surprised then. Did she actually think she was going to get some money?
Alex has been demolished by the dragons.
Oh, imagine having to walk off carrying your olive poles, and she's smiling as if she knows better than them still. This time next year we'll be millionaires.
Who found that her defensive manner and refusal to divulge the basic details of her business made it impossible for them to invest.
I've got to say, that is an example of how not to get an investment. It could be a good product. It was irrelevant because she was so egotistical.
Very high maintenance.
Anybody who feels comfortable asking whether anybody here is Spanish, so she can feel free to slag off an entire nation. It is reprehensible behavior. If she behaves like that, she will do other things later that are equally wrong.
There you go, people. Well, we don't need to see whether our friend Evan knew, and again, I'm glad I don't know his name. Let's see how the business is getting on. Okay, here we go. The Big O Live Limited. They changed it to the Big O Live. That's not confusing. Is that the Big O Live Limited? Anyway, the Big O Live Limited, private limited with company type, private limited with share capital. Company is dissolved. It was incorporated. It became a limited company on 2005. And the last accounts were 2010. 5 years she dragged that nothing along concrete and took her face with it. Ridiculous. Ta-da! Almost miraculously and largely by accident, I just done a double check that the Big O-Live Limited was the Big O. You know, I thought, hang on, is that definitely the right company? And a few things come up. Look at this, Mail Online. I walked out on Jeremy Clarkson, that's Jeremy Clarkson, yeah. I walked out on Jeremy because he was a slob. Now he's tried to airbrush me out of his life. Clarkson's ex on their brief marriage. Right? Oh my giddy aunt. Clarkson and Alex Hall, her, were married. Heaven, I'm in heaven now. Ta-da!
Sweet bit, sweet mama, sweet bit, sweet mama, sweet.